Is how many people like advertising and marketing? Yeah, I thought so. And then also, how many people like social media advertising and marketing? Oh, there's a couple. Okay, good. Well, so I'm going to throw even another curve in here, and that is, how many of you ever heard of artificial intelligence? Anyone? AI? Artificial intelligence? Okay. So you might say, well, what in the world does that have anything to do with what we're going to talk about? But AI, let me explain a little bit what AI is. So it's kind of a new phenomenon, but it's been growing in recent years. How many of you have a cell phone? How many of you talk into it and it creates a text and then you send the text? Yeah, so that's artificial intelligence. Basically, it's taking what you're telling it and it's combining all the information and it's converting it into a text. That's one aspect. So let's see, AI is currently used for text-to-speech, speech-to-text, text-to-image, and even text-to-video technologies. A little bit more information. This particular program, ChatGTP, is an OpenAI format, and it was trained on 570 gigabytes, if you know data sizing. That's 300 billion words, and it was trained with about 150 billion parameters. So anyway, I thought it'd be interesting to start off with doing a little search here. So we're going to do, how would Bob, how many know Bob the Builder? How went Bob the Builder run a septic company? How about you? And you can think of so there it is. As a fictional character, it's difficult to know exactly how Bob the Builder would run a septic company. However, given his positive can-do attitude, it's likely he would prioritize customer satisfaction, reliability, and safety. He might also place an emphasis on using eco-friendly and sustainable practices. Additionally, he may use his expertise in construction and engineering to optimize the design and installation of septic systems. We just used artificial intelligence to gather information about how Bob the Builder would run a septic company. What does that matter to you? Well, I thought, you know, when you do a Google search, do you generally immediately find the answer that you're looking for? No. How many pages do you scroll through? So artificial intelligence is really streamlining the process of getting the information that you want to you in this vast sea of information. Okay, so we're going to consider that as we consider marketing and advertising your business. But let's do one more search. How can I, let's do this. Explain how to advertise my septic company in simple terms. See what it says. Follow these steps. Determine your target audience, identify the demographics and geographic characteristics of the people who are most likely to need your service, create a compelling message, develop a clear and concise message that highlights the benefits of your services, sets you apart from competitors, choose the right channels, select the advertising channels that are most likely to reach your target audience. That could include online ads, print, ad flyers, and direct mail. Set a budget. Wow, this is my talk. Set a budget, determine how much you can afford to spend on advertising. Anyway, there you see it. That took all the information, like you could have maybe read 10 books on advertising and came up with that, but artificial intelligence. So the reason I'm bringing this up is that how do people find you? And you say, well, I'm well known, whatever. The advertising and business is changing. What about your kids? Like everyone knows you, but if your kids take it over, if someone else buys your business, how are they going to be seen in this digital world? So he mentioned my name is Dervin Witmer. We've been operating since 2005. And the unique situation that we were in was that I just moved into an area. I wasn't known. I didn't have a family name that was recognizable. I wanted to do excavating, but then kind of happened to get into septic work as well because of the jobs I was doing. Actually, Al Lamont was one of my first pumpers on some of the first jobs I ever did down around Porter Township, where I was hooking up. So Richmond Sanitary, he was the one that was pumping our tanks, and we were abandoning them, hooking them up to city sewer. So marketing and creative ideas for your septic business. So anyway, we had this problem, like I was saying, of how do you advertise? How do you get your message out to people? So we started off as an excavating company, then as I mentioned, got into septic, and then noticed, well, there's not a lot of, at least back in 2005, there wasn't a lot of educational material, like how often you should pump your tank, why you should pump your tank, even just anything for homeowners to see and get them to get on a routine of pumping. So anyway, we started generating videos and stuff like that, and that's when the septic pump, that septic name was kind of born out of that need. And then my brother-in-law was really the brainchild behind. He's like, you got to really get a strong social media presence and website. And I think that's why we have so many followers, because we started so early. But anyway, people want this information. And so the question is, down the road, how are we going to continue to promote ourselves? Okay, so we need to be marketing our septic business in the digital age in these three areas. Now, this isn't like the last presentation you'll ever need on advertising, but this is what I've learned over the past years in marketing. You need consistent transparency, you need to be socially responsive, and you need consistent branding. And I'll explain all three of those as we go along here. But why do we need this change? Or why have we seen that this change has helped us? And that is because the largest demographic of people today are in their 25 to 45 range, and these are called the millennials. And the millennials are very different from your generation and different from my parents' generation, and we'll see how they're different. They grew up with cell phones and the website, and the ability to get information instantly. And so can they get your information instantly? That's the question. I'm bringing it back to the septic company. Like if they start buying houses, which they are and will, how are they going to find you? So 25 to 45 prime spending years, they're using the internet and media, social media and the cell phone to make their decisions and to live their lives and to spend their money. You see that yellow graph in there. The millennials are the largest working group. Now, I don't know that they're all working, but they're in a working age. They're the largest working age group. We need to figure out how to get the millennials to actually work, then we wouldn't have so much problems. But anyway, I got to be careful because I got some millennials in my own family here. So anyway, okay, so the points that I want to make is, and AI kind of gave us some of this, define your target audience. I'm going to give you three areas that we target, and you can add to it or whatever, but the three are homeowners, property managers, and realtors. Now, how much you break that up? Well, homeowners, obviously, they're going to need, if they're living in a rural area, they're going to need their septic tank pumped and maybe even one replaced someday. Property managers, they might manage large commercial septic systems. How do you reach them? Manufacturing, some areas, have septic systems. Realtors, we like to work heavily with realtors because they often view us kind of as an adversary to their success. They want to sell a house because if they sell a house, they can make money. And then along comes XYZ septic company and they fail the septic. And say, you crazy guys, you always fail the septic. I hate septic guys. Stop inspecting septic systems because it just stops the sale of the house. But that's not true, really.
Stop big moves.
Yeah, so the idea is we want to bridge that gap. We want to educate the realtors. We want, who wants to sell a house and then have it back up Saturday night, the first week the family's in? Because grandma lived there, and now a family of 5 lives there. And they didn't know there was a root ball in the exit side of the tank, and it's a mess. You know all about that. So identify potential customers and focus on reaching them. Homeowners. So let's look at the trend of who the homeowners will be for the foreseeable future. And there is changing consumer behavior, and that is the millennial. What are these millennials like? Well, to understand them, when they research stuff, they're 3 times more likely to talk, post, or blog about a product or a service that they used, okay? They depend on peer review for buying decisions, so they're not just gonna look through the phone book and pick the nicest picture. They're gonna say, what did my friend do, okay? And did my friend have a good experience? The third one is they research heavily before making decisions. I must have had a brother who was a millennial before his time because he researched and researched and researched things. I was kind of an impulse guy. I went with my gut, anyway. So here's after searching these millennials, how do they communicate? And this is just a little graph. 44% of them will text their friends or whatever. Hey, this is what I found. Social media, 38% of them will post something about it on social media. They'll instant message as well, 38%, and 16% will blog about it. Hey, I had a great experience getting my septic tank pumped. And people will blog about this stuff. Why? Because they like sharing information, and there's people out there that just love finding that information and reading it. And so anyway, it's just a changing mindset. And here's the data. 25 to 45-year-olds are generally the home buying years for any generation. So the millennial and brand attraction, this gets a little bit interesting. Think about the hospitality industry. Starbucks, Dunkin', we don't have so many Dunkins around here. McDonald's, Burger King, Chick-fil-A. When you think of them, what do you think of? Let me ask you this question. What do you think of when I say Chick-fil-A, what's the first thing you think of?
Bigotry.
Okay. Other than that? Huh? I'm thinking of a business model, guys. Let's keep it on a professional level. As a business model, what do you think of? Food, but why would you go there versus McDonald's or Burger King? Service. Man, they're like an army. Whatever you think about their philosophy, I don't care, but you drive in there, they are taking hundreds of people through that line like very quickly. And not only that, but what are half the people in the line doing on their phones? They're ordering their meal. What happens when they get their meal? They get a little coupon. The next time you're in here, you get another free chicken sandwich. The millennial loves that kind of stuff. It will bring them back. It gives them the information in the privacy of their car. They can make their decisions on their own because it's well researched. And then they get the little hook, bring me back. Oh yeah, I have this free sandwich offer. I'm going to Chick-fil-A again today. So they have got the change, the culture change in advertising down. Think of McDonald's. When's the last time that you actually walked up, talked to a person, and told them what you wanted? What greets you in a McDonald's? A big old TV screen, right? It's the AI, it's the millennial mindset. I'm going to order what I want, and then the people eventually show up at the end. But anyway, so whether or not it's all labor shortage, it's somewhat marketing strategy. It's giving your consumer what they want, okay? And so we have to think about that in the service industry. Whether we like it or not, the consumer of our service is going to primarily be that millennial, that mindset. And are we giving them the information that they want? So the question is, do we have enough information up there for them to research and diagnose their own problems? Do we have enough transparent information? And are they satisfied with peer review? And I'm going to explain those 3 things if you're like, what is that? Here's some more cultural shifts to understand with the millennial. Wealth defined beyond money. What does that mean? Well, think of things like rideshare, Uber, Airbnb, VRBO. Why do we have those phenomenon? Because I can be a wealthy person for one weekend and live in a mansion on Lake Michigan, right? I can rent that building and experience the lifestyle of a independently wealthy person for a weekend. And so wealth isn't defined simply by the amount of money I have and the number of houses I have. It's more experiences. I can drive a Bugatti for a weekend or whatever, Another one is passion has priority over profession. And I see this in my 18-year-old. we often, my dad's generation, and I think it kind of filtered into me, is like, you wanna be successful in your business, right? So your profession was what you focused on, right? If you ran a business, or if you became a CEO of a company or whatever, you had accomplished something, right? That's not the generation that we're dealing with today. They have passion over profession. In other words, okay, yeah, I need a job because I like backpacking, right? So they work to backpack, or they work to be a BMX bike rider or whatever. Like, the work is like a necessary evil to them. And they'll put in the time and get the paycheck, but what they really want to do is what they're going to do with that money and their hobby and their passion or whatever. Attitude shift towards health. You can now, hospitals are doing this self-diagnosis thing. Here's the app. You tell me what your symptoms are, and the AI will take that and it'll kind of give you general direction about what your problem is. And then when you call the doctor, you're like, hey, doctor, I got scoliosis or whatever. You can feel informed when you go to the doctor. You don't feel like I'm going to just be in the hospital for 3 weeks and I don't know why. So this is information that the millennial is given. Risk reduction strategy apps. How many people use an app that scans a barcode on shampoo or something? Maybe the ladies, hey, what's in this product? Do I want to put it on my face? Is it nasty stuff? Whatever. So you can actually do research on your own. The last one is we need to adapt to digital life because, and here's why. So the millennial, our generation, our kids' generation, they can sample, experiment, edit, promote, and publicize their life experience, right? TikTok, Instagram, whatever. That's their identity. And it usually, they say, people that spend a lot of time on social media, they're kind of anxious. There's an angst to the social media platforms because why? I gave it up there. What's the answer? It's fake. It's not real, right? Or it's better than it actually is, and you know it, right? So the counter to this anxiety is to seek the real. What's real? Well, what is local? What is community? What is anything of value? And this is where we need to focus on the social science of marketing and reaching today's homeowner. Are you with me? Are you following? Is it making sense? This is kind of how we, are advertising our company with this mindset. So what's the second thing we got to do? The chat GPT said, set an advertising budget. NFIB says 2% to 5% of your gross revenue is a good average. And maybe you don't do hardly any advertising. Maybe you don't need to. But if you want to get yourself into the digital, social, world wide web of information, 2 to 5%. If you're spending more than that, that's maybe you need to reevaluate. Like if you're spending 10% on Facebook or on Yellow Book ads, get rid of the Yellow Book ads, anyway. That's enough. How about the next one? Choose advertising channels. Now here's where it gets a little bit, I'll try and give some practical stuff. Maybe you're doing some of this. Direct mail, Facebook ads. So if we're dealing with homeowners, we want to get that information to them. So those are some specific ways. I know we've done Facebook ads in a local area. With digital, you can target like very specific areas. There's a big subdivision or something like that. You can just put in your geographic area you want advertising, or talk to your marketing ad agency, and they can really hone in digital marketing. That's really cool. Property managers, how are they going to find you? Google Ads, social posts, whatever. Realtors. Here's where my professional connection with people like realtors and other business professionals is LinkedIn. You should be putting stuff on LinkedIn. I have a personal profile. It's basically, think of it as a digital resume. LinkedIn is your professional resume, where you graduated, where you went to college, where you worked, what positions you had, where you currently work. But then you can actually post just like on social media, like, hey, my company is doing X, Y, Z, whatever. And that's where if I see a realtor's name come up, then I connect with them on LinkedIn. And then I post information about inspections or pumping or something like that. And they're like, oh, I can use those guys. So that's one way that we connect with them. Create your advertising message. Okay, so, and here's the nuts and bolts of it. These are the 3 areas that we do, and you can do as little or as much as you, or add to it. Consistent transparency, socially responsive, and consistent branding. I'll explain what that is. So consistent transparency. Remember I told you that the counter to the fake is the real? Well, what's real? The real is that, well, we're local service providers, right? And we want to be showing recent work, and we want to show that we provide value in what we do. Now, I say that because when I looked at websites, when we were first looking at building a website and so forth, I looked at other septic companies, and I'm like, what in the world is this is some grandpa on a backhoe out in Iowa somewhere, and it's supposed to be an excavating company website. Like Yellow Pages and all those guys, they didn't put transparent information on. They took stock images and they built these things that didn't communicate anything that was local, recent, or of value, right? So those are the transparent things I'm talking about. Here's a post from January 31st in Niles, Michigan, and it says, residential septic service happening today. When was the last time your septic tank was cleaned? So we gave the location, that's local. Someone lives close to Niles. They're like, oh, these guys work in my area. The recent is January 31st. Okay, this year. And then the other one was of value. Okay, so they're out in the snow. They took care of the problem. These guys will take care of me, whatever. So those are some explanation. Here again, the idea of being transparent. You can't really see it, but on the right, you see the little eyeball. This lady gave me a 1-star review. Now, I say any press is good press because you can respond to it, right? Don't take it personally. Like, I used to take bad reviews personally. Like, come on, what a jerk. I'm going to put her in her place or him in his place. Keep it professional. This is a public platform, right? You want to get into a spat online, it ain't worth it. Forget it. That person's probably eating potato chips down in their basement just laughing, making fun of you out there working your tail off. And so the idea is keep it professional, but we don't try and get rid of negative. We just like, hey, this is what we had to do. I think I told this story before, but my son went out to pump a lady, and she got a price, and she had 2 tanks. She didn't tell me. I gave her a price for the tank, and then she just calculated, okay, if I double that, that's what it'll do. Well, 2 tanks isn't just double 1 tank in our pricing structure, right? And it shouldn't be in yours either. And she wanted him to back into her muddy grass. And he's like, I'm not backing in there. I'm going to get stuck. And then he ran the hose around and through her pool patio into the tank. And she was so mad. She was like, the price wasn't what they told me. They didn't park where I wanted them to park. And he could have spilled sewage in my pool patio. And I said, hey, ma'am, you got same-day service. There's no sewage on your patio because we're professionals. We didn't mess up your grass and have to call a tow truck. So we did our job to our professional standards, and I thank you for your business. I'm sorry you were not happy with the way we conducted our professional business. But so there you go. So someone reading is like, what a jerk. I'll call these guys anyway, because you gave a good response. That's being transparent, okay? Here's a picture of the guys. That's actually not very current, so I'm not being transparent on that one. But anyway, the idea is put a face to things. Don't only use trucks, use people too. People like to see people. So put a face on your website and whatever. Social media pages, we like to post weekly. So Facebook and Twitter, these are just some local things that we were doing. One thing I'll mention is sometimes you're like, well, I don't have time to post on like 4 or 5 different sites. Find a site that will actually generate it. Like, I don't know if Hootsuite is still a thing, but they used to post to like 4 or 5 different. Our base posting happens in Instagram because Instagram is owned by Facebook, so you get the same link goes to Facebook, and then you can link a Twitter account and a Tumblr account. So I can get 4 social media posts. And you say, why in the world? Like, just pick one and go with it. Did you remember the AI thing we did at the beginning here? You are dumping your information into this information jungle, right? So the more you keep posting, the more these AI generators say, hey, here's a 10-gallon-a-minute stream of information, and we're gonna go here first when we search. So you just want relevant information being pumped into these social media sites, and then Google and others will give you traffic and generate traffic to your website as well. Another example of being transparent. Here we have 3 different posts on three different kinds of jobs. So the first one is we're installing a lift station on a commercial. That one would be all the way on the left. So Jimmy's getting the rails all set up there. The middle one, we're doing a drain cleaning job. So we've got a camera and a router machine out there in the van. And then on the third one, all the way over on the right, we're pumping out a tank for a winery in Buchanan. So there you have an array of the services that we provide. Like, don't just take the back end of your tank with the hose, your truck with the hose coming out. Spread it out. Tell people. You're telling a story. You're basically promoting yourself and your company through social media. And remember, millennials love to make decisions through peer review, research, and self-diagnosis, right? Socials, we talked about this a little bit. There's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. So if you want to explain your services, you want to talk about effluent filters, why they're there, how often they need to be cleaned, or whatever. It's a really cool platform to just put up little videos and or big videos, whatever. And Google owns YouTube, so if people do a Google search and you have a Google business listing and you have YouTube videos on your Google business listing, you get preference. Like, they'll put you out there as a result quicker than someone that doesn't. So these are all things, like, it all feeds into the funnel. Post about common myths or septic misconceptions, showcase new technology, talk about the environmental impact of a failed or backed up system. I mean, you know what the problems are. What is your biggest pet peeve that people don't know about a septic system? Talk about it. Make a video on it. Yeah, I looked and my septic tank's full. How many times have you heard that? Well, do you know that that's actually a settling tank? And in 3 weeks or so, that tank's going to be full again. But it's not going to be over full, and that's the important part. We want things to flow in and out. And once the contents in the tank get, too close together and there's not enough clean. Anyway, you can explain it however you like. And if you don't like to explain it, get your kids to, right? You probably have some millennials in your family, right? That love cell phones, that love talking in front of a camera, that love generating this kind of stuff. There's often, my kids are starting to come up with content that I'm like, that's good. Let's do it. Let's post it. Socially responsive. We talked about this a little bit. The drill. Answer phone calls, be available for text message, answer questions that come through social media sites or your Google business listing. Here's just some communication back and forth. Someone's asking a question, we're answering it. Keep up on reviews and responding to troublemakers. I remember that bad press is press. So respond to the negative feedback, give them a reason why, thank them for their business, especially if they paid you. Yeah. And anyway, consistent branding. Now you're like, oh wow, yeah, your trucks look nice and all. When I started, they didn't look that nice, but they were all the same color, right? So pick something and start somewhere. You don't have a logo, get a logo made and make sure the logo has something to do with your business that kind of explains it. Pick some colors that are good for you and stuff, and be consistent about it. So social media, Google business listings, promotional materials, radio, TV ads, employees' uniforms, vehicle wraps, they all have a consistent image and message. But it wasn't always so noticeable as it is today because we slowly did more and more things. That was a realtor brunch. there in that picture. Consistent vehicle wraps. Jason Spangle, he's got red trucks and white trucks, right? And he said, I'm going to wrap, and he's getting another new truck. He's like, I'm going to wrap my red truck white and my yellow truck white. And I said, that's cool. That's what I would do. Get everything the same so that, if someone sees your truck going down the road, they see the name and they're like, oh, that's Richmond. He's got a blue truck, or whatever. There goes Diggett, blue and white. And every truck that goes by, oh, there's Plumber. He's got graffiti on the box. Pick something unique. Don't just be like everyone else, 5 different colored trucks and whatever. That's just me. That's the way I like to do it. And just remember, the generation that we are serving is image conscious and all. So design your advertising materials. Start with at least a Google business listing. You are on Google as a business, but you can claim that, and you can add photos, you can add logos, you can post as much information on there as you want. The more you post to it, like I say, YouTube videos, the more traffic you're going to get to it. And then get a website and build the website in a way that is informative and not just hopscotch. Socials, and if you don't do any social media, I would suggest just start with Instagram. And then as you have time, open a Facebook account, open a Twitter account, open a Tumblr account. Tumblr is basically just photos, kind of like Instagram is. Facebook is, we use them in different ways, but we just post to them all. Like we connect to different groups of people with different ones. Clothing is advertising too. Get all you guys wearing the same looking uniforms, and if they wear a hole in it, throw it away and get a new one. We're professionals. Would you go to a dentist that had his front tooth knocked out? Probably not. Would you go to a doctor that, was always coughing and oh man, I just can't get over this cold? No. They're professionals at what they do. We're professionals. We're part of the World Health Organization, not that organization, but World Health. If we stop cleaning up sewage, we're going to get all those diseases that they have where the sewage is running down the streets. Our kids are going to be walking through the stuff and getting the diseases that we're professionals. We maintain an infrastructure. Think of yourself as a professional and act like a professional. Be the professional that you are, okay? And that has to do with the image. Media, outdoor, there's some ideas. We have a billboard. Here's just a couple examples of things we do. You see there's consistent logos and all of those things. You have a shirt. One of the guys is wearing a shirt there. It's the same logo that's on a postcard, same logo that's on a billboard, same one that's on our little running TV screens at the shop and whatever. It's keep the image in front of people, keep the consistency. So launch and monitor your campaign. Once you get a certain amount of followers and stuff, these social media sites start to give you data on how many people have viewed and which posts were popular. And so look at what generates the most buzz. And you're like, okay, people really liked that video that explained whatever. And so do another one like that, and you use the information there. Google Ads offers analytics, so I can see how many people came to a Google ad and then went to the website, how much time they spent. I can see, we had, 500 click-throughs from an ad to the website in January, say. That's just an arbitrary number. But it gives you all that information that you can see and see what funnels you're getting the information from. Digital ads, you can often put a unique phone number on that they call from, but it transfers to your office. And you can see how many people called you from that ad. If you didn't get any, scrap the ad, go to something else, but it's just the way. So the question is, what one advertising step will you take in 2023? And here's the example of how you can link different sites on Instagram. So Pump That Septic is in the circle. That's the company that's posting, but then the 2 swipes under it are Twitter and Tumblr. And in the advanced settings, we also have on the far right there, that little button, post to Facebook. So there you go. I make one post and it goes to 4 different sites. And so those are ways that we post. So we're going to talk a little more about ideas, unique ideas, maybe not unique ideas. Maybe you do them on the roundtable tomorrow. But those are ways to get in contact with me. Any questions now about anything I talked about? We have a few minutes, but we can end early as well. So
this spring, I'm actually the realtor board in my area reached out to me, and I'm doing a one-on-one class to educate the realtors in my area. So that's a nice one to get involved with your realtor board in your area.
yeah.
Another one is a Rotary Chamber. Anybody belongs to the chamber, you could put the week special of your company with a video on your chamber.
There you go. Yep. How many people are going to do something different in 2023 because you're thinking about advertising? Good. Handful. Good. That's what it's all about. I'm not here to say we have it all figured out. I'm telling you, this is what we love to do. This is how we're promoting ourselves. And there is no reason that, I can go into an area and build a successful company with no recognition other than you can be strategic in your advertising and meet needs, provide more information than other people in the area, and you set the standard. I like all the pumpers in my area. I'm not trying to say I'm better than my colleagues in my area, but what I'm saying is we can all learn from each other, and we can say, yeah, okay, let me update my truck. Dervin's truck looks pretty good. It's time for me to get a new truck anyway, so, or whatever. And someone else does pipelining or something, I'm like, oh, that's cool, or whatever. We learn from each other. There is so much work out there that I can't do it all, and you can't do it all. So sometimes Matt will call me, yeah, I can't do this. This is out of my league. Call Dig It. I'm like, okay, thanks, Matt. This is right down our alley. We love this kind of stuff, and he knows it. And he's like, hey, I got one truck. I can't do that. And Dervin's got a couple. He'll take care of it. Whatever. And inspectors use other guys in the area, pumping tanks, whatever. We're all taking care of what needs to be taken care of. But look at ways that we can all improve and market to the millennial generation, because they're the ones that are going to be spending the money. Anyway, thank you for your attention.